Greetings all, BWS2K here. I am still around. I wanted to do a quick video today about just kind of a channel update and then kind of moving forward where I want to go for the rest of the summer, and then also maybe do some random hack generation because that's my jam and I love it. So a couple things. We are moving, or we've been preparing to move, and we are now in the process of moving. So I know it's been kind of quiet on the channel. I do see your comments when you make them, and I appreciate them. And there were some excellent suggestions given, and I will get around to those once things start to pick up and I'm able to get back in the groove. But for now, there's just kind of this waiting period. But I can sneak this in here today, and so I'm glad for that opportunity. The second thing is I have a video. If you haven't seen it, there we go. There we go. I have a video if you haven't seen it, and I worked together, collaborated with Leanne Rhymes on how do I Cortex Prime. And it's basically just when I'm going through the process of coming up with a Cortex game, what are some of the things I keep in mind? And it's really good for sort of the basics. Now, you may do things differently, and that's perfectly fine. So those are just a couple things I wanted to get out of the way. First, I'm still around. I wanted to draw attention to the video I have with sort of my philosophy. I don't remember what the word was I used, but it's kind of what goes on in my brain. And then just to emphasize that random hacks are not necessarily to make something playable, though that is awesome when that happens. It's more about the exercise of going through it. Okay, so having said that, we're going to switch over and we're going to start rolling some dice. This table is, I think you may have seen it before, or parts of it before, but it's something I came up with a while ago. It's got all the mods, or at least all the mods that would make sense in a random generation situation, as well as different sets and things. So the first step is, we always have distinctions, right? Like that's always going to be a prime set, but we've got to figure out our other two sets. So we're going to roll, and I will mute it for the dice. But we're going to roll a, what is that, D4, D6, and D8. So there's a D4, there's a D8, and there's a D6. I can switch to camera view, maybe? So that is a 1, a 1, and a 2, which is a 1, a 1, and a 2. That makes a total of 4. So that's attributes and affiliations. So distinctions, attributes, and affiliations. Now, when I was assembling this table, I did not bear in mind the sort of distribution curve that there would be. It didn't seem like something that I needed to go through, but the more times I use it, if it seems like, I've already done this, I want to have values or something, you can adjust it. You can always adjust it, I can always adjust it, it's whatever. But I've never really dug into what the more likely results are to be with this combination of dice. Okay, so that's sets, and then we have genres next. So that's a D4, D6, and a D8, and I'm going to do that 3 times. And 7, so 12. All right, so it's 11, 14, and 12. I'm checking my chart. That's post-apocalyptic. Classic. 14 is romance. I don't think I've rolled a romance yet. And then 12 feels familiar. Oh, religious, yep. Religious, romance, post-apocalyptic. You know, you would think as many times as I do these tables and roll on them and create them that I would like exhaust all the possibilities of combinations in my head, but I never do. Interesting. All right, so that's our genres. Now we're going to roll for a theme, and then we'll roll for a must-use mod. So the theme is just a D10. So the theme is 5, which is technology. I'm going to re-roll. Technology, I rolled technology. Actually, I don't know if the video ever made it up, but I've rolled technology a lot. I'm going to swap out. Too many robots. So rolled off screen, but it's a 9, which is discovery. Okay, I dig that. Discovery. Yeah, I like that. And then our last one is our must-use mod. So that's a D12. We rolled an 11. Taking initiative. That's one that I'm not familiar with. I've not used it. If I recall correctly, you can see there it's on. Well, okay, that cuts off my arm. You can see on the screen, but also in your book. It's on page 99. I think that has to do with establishing like an initiative order. I think. It's been a while. It may surprise you or it may not surprise you to learn that there are parts of the book that I still haven't read, but don't tell anybody. Okay, so we have for our sets, we're using distinctions, of course, and then attributes and affiliation. Our genre mashup is post-apocalyptic, romance, religious. I'm excited about that. And then our theme is discovery. And then our must-use mod is taking initiative. And I have in that blue box there in the center bottom, don't forget to consider a method for character growth that fits your creation. I didn't do like a random thing for the character growth because that's such a... you really have to make it fit for what you have. And I wouldn't put that up to, I can put a lot of things up to the random dice rolls, but I wouldn't put a growth mod up to random dice rolls because you just have to make that choice with what you have. And this is also, as it kind of says up at the top there, this is suggestions. This is inspiration. If you go down this road and you end up with something and you're like, okay, well, but it'd be really cool if da-da-da-da-da, well, then run with that. This, the tables have done their job and your muse was inspired and now you have a goal, right? Now you have a product, or not a product, but a hack that you can make, right? So, like usual, that's what we rolled. I'm going to take a break. Okay, Spirits of Praefis. This is the 5th time I'm recording this segment. I apologize if I go a little fast. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't mess up again. So basically the idea here is you are playing characters who have died. This is sort of a limbo afterlife. And from here you go on to one of 7 realms, which are each governed by one of 7 spirits. So the world that you're in right now, Praefis, is sort of ever shifting and ever changing. And this is why it's... has all these obstacles and opposition and maybe wild creatures and things like that phenomenon. And you can see in the little flavor text right there, devote yourself to one and be accepted into their eternal realm, one of the 7 spirits, or spurn all of them and remain here in these wild lands forever, but be aware, this place does not tolerate permanent residence kindly. And this is attached to, or a note attached to a bundle at your feet, which is actually a signature asset that you get to choose and name and specify during character creation. So our sets were affiliations. We have solo, buddy, team, classic, no problems there. Attributes, I went with instinct, logic, power, resolve, speed, vigor, and violence. Violence is sort of the word that was used on the Discord by someone, which I thought was a really great way of thinking about it, was silo. Violence sort of silos every violent action onto that attribute. So if you are using speed to punch somebody really fast, then that's probably actually going to be using your violence attribute because you're probably inflicting harm on that target, right? So anything that falls under that sort of idea, that beating up, skirmishy, battle-y kind of thing, that's going to be violence. Distinctions, we've got 3 of them there. You can read them. I'll include a link in the description, by the way, for this as a PDF, so you can browse it at your leisure and play test it if you want. I'd love to know if you take it and have fun with it and how it works out for you. And then signature asset, which is just a non-prime set that represents various boons that your character may collect along the way. So you start with one, and then of course through growth you may end up with more, or upgrading one. So the mods, we have action-based resolution, shaken and stricken, and taking initiative. All those 3 combined with the affiliation and the sort of tactical thinking that we had. I really liked how those all kind of meshed. Even though we're not doing sort of a military game, I liked how I felt like those all kind of fit together. The initiative piece is, there's a couple different ways in the book that are listed, and this way is you take your speed and your, instinct. So instinct and speed, and you roll those and then add that result, and that's your initiative for the scene, or at least for that opposition, for that encounter. And then you could have SFX that kind of play around with that, use different attributes and things like that. I added add all the dice and no effect dice in there because I'm just like that. It's absolutely not necessary. I don't know that it necessarily adds anything or takes anything away. It just works in here. And so I put it in because I like to be a rebel like that. And then let's see, action-based resolution, shaken and stricken. So shaken and stricken would be on the attributes. Session records. So I took session records and kind of changed it a little bit about how it traditionally works. If I scroll down a bit, yeah. So you've got the session records right here. So instead of naming it for the session after you record it, you name it for one of the 7 spirits. And if I scroll down, I can show you the spirits. There's 7 of them right there. Names are not random. You can probably see where I got them, and then you probably know where I got Praefis from as well, but I'll leave that to you to figure out. The idea is, at the end of every session, you record a name of one of the 7 spirits whose values are who you most appeal to or most exemplified. And then moving forward past the second session, so not on the first session, but beginning on the second session, at the beginning of the session, you get a D10 resource die, which represents a favor or a boon from the deity that you have the most session records for. So you can still do session record things like callbacks and get the immediate sort of plot point use thing. That's cool, that works. But they would be couched in language that is like, I'm getting a favor from this person or this spirit, and because I'm doing this or whatever. Like, it kind of connects that way, right? And that's where you get the fame die, is for the one that you have the most connections with or appeals to, experience with, you most sort of jibe with, right? And then a custom SFX, I just figured, and I actually, on the last take that I just recorded that the audio was terrible, was I realized I have this custom SFX where you can write an SFX to be attached to any of the PC's traits with the GM approval. And then I wrote, unless otherwise specified, this SFX may be used independent of the trait that is attached to. So my thought was, if you put the SFX on, let's say, your second distinction, and you're using your third distinction, you could still access it. But then I realized, if you can put it on any of them, then saying that it's independent of the one that it's attached to, I think those might be the opposites of things. So I'm not really certain on the wording there, and I'm realizing, I mean, this is why we do it, right? I said, this is why we do random hacks. You bang the bricks together and see what you can build, and sometimes it's not a very pretty house, and there are flaws, right? And so I'm thinking, in the last 20 minutes, I don't think I worded that correctly, but I left it because, hey, we make mistakes, and that's what keeps me humble. And you can read more about the little notes that I had there, but the 7 spirits, here's the 7 of them, and they relate to each of the attributes, and that was kind of what I was going for. And they have their own realms, but their eye is on this limbo world, this Praefis, and so you can kind of interact with them in that sense. How much you can interact with them, totally up to the table. Do they have voices? Do they have physical incarnations? Things like that, totally up to you. And as much as, and I don't remember if I said that in this take or not, but you have the PCs who have already died, right? They may have all died together. They may be from different times. They may be from different timelines. You could even go multiverse on this. None of that really matters. It's totally up to the table. Fit as you see fit, or adjust as you see fit, and what you think was fun for your players and for your table. And then I gave some examples of opposition. So we have ethereal griffins, stubborn elemental, fallen avatar of Tenantui, and literally the ground is floating away, which is a timed test, and I love timed tests, and you should love timed tests, and they're amazing, and I wish they got more love and attention, because they're amazing. And then just I ended with a thanks to the Discord, because I did throw this in the Discord and had some advice and kind of bounced some things around, especially regarding that violence attribute, how I wanted to kind of present that. So that is the very quick overview, and I apologize if that was short. I've done this, like I said, 5 times already, and it feels like every time I end up droning too much, so I'm going to stop droning right now. The last thing that I will say in this video is hi. Thank you for watching. Our planet is currently very tumultuous, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself. I am a very tiny YouTuber who knows a very tiny bit about Cortex Prime, but I feel like it is a platform, and so I feel like I do need to just kind of thank you for showing up and watching my videos and interacting and leaving comments. Those that leave comments, I love it. I read them all, and just take care of yourself. Drink your water, eat your vegetables, get a nap if you need a nap. It's okay to take a nap. I do appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming and watching the videos and interacting. But even if we never meet, motorcycles. Even if we never meet and never interact, I still I love that you've watched this video, and I hope that it helps you to have a better day. So from me, a very tiny YouTuber, to you, one of the many millions and billions of people on the internet, just know that I care about you and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks so much for watching.